What's up, military millionaires? Today I want to talk to you briefly about some tips and tricks that you can use to increase your credit score. I get this question a lot, and I don't know that I've done it enough justice as far as answering questions, so I wrote out 7 different bullet points that I'm going to talk through that will help you with repairing your credit and why they work and kind of the psychology behind it, which will help you inevitably get hooked up and be able to improve your credit score so you can borrow more money for a mortgage or however you want to look at it. And at the end of this, I'll give you a point of contact to a friend of mine who does some credit repair stuff, and happy to introduce you. So the first thing is just pay your bills on time. I know that's seems like a super simple thing, but if you find yourself struggling with your credit score, make sure that you are paying all your bills on time. Look at your report and see if there's anything you're missing that maybe you forgot, or maybe there's something that wasn't really a priority and it slid by the wayside. So just make sure that you are paying all of your bills on time. Number 2 is ask for higher credit limits. But I am going to just caveat and say don't do this if you're going to spend the money, right? So make sure that you're in the right mind frame to where you can ask for these higher limits and then not use them. So the reason is that credit utilization is a huge piece of your credit score. So let's say you have a $10,000 limit on a credit card and you spend $2,000. Or you have a credit card that is a $2,000 limit and you spend $2,000. The credit card with the $2,000 limit is going to hurt your credit way more than the credit card with the $10,000 limit, even though you spent the exact same amount of money, because credit cards are concerned about how much of your credit you're using. So once you get over 50% of your credit being used, so a $5,000 spent on a $10,000 card, it drastically hurts your credit score because of just the way that they calculate everything. So if you're looking to really improves your score quickly, a good trick could be to ask for a higher limit. So if you spent $1,000 and your card has only got a limit of $2,000, that's not an insurmountable amount of debt. But if you were to increase your limit to $10,000, now all of a sudden your credit limit has increased, your credit utilization percentage has gone down, your score will jump, and you didn't have to pay off the $1,000 right away. So hope that makes sense. But again, don't do it if you're going to spend the money, right? Because raising your credit limit and then spending all the money is not a good practice and not going to help you. Number 3, pay down debt strategically. All right, so there's a few different things here. The first is paying off the higher debt may not help you. It really depends on a few different factors, right? So again, going back to if you owe $2,000 on 2 different credit cards, pay off whichever one has the lower limit first, because that's the one with the higher credit utilization, so that should be the one you pay down. So interestingly enough, if you had $1,000 out on a card that had a $5,000 limit, or you had $2,000 out on a card that had a $20,000 limit, you should pay the $1,000 off first because it's a higher utilization ratio than the $2,000, right? But if you had a $1,000 limit and a $2,000 limit, and they both had, $1,000 balance, $2,000 balance, they both had a $5,000 limit, pay off the higher one first because it's a higher credit utilization. Also, you should consider paying down debts first that lower the payment. So for example, let's say you have a $20,000 auto loan, or actually let's say you have a $2,000 remaining on an auto loan and you have $3,000 out on a credit card. I would probably pay the credit card first because if you can only make like $200 extra payment, because every time you pay that $200, your credit card minimum payment will drop. Whereas the auto loan, if you pay it down faster, the monthly payment will stay the same, so it'll still affect your debt to income the same, unless you can pay the smaller auto loan off, in which case that'll drop your payment completely off. And so it's kind of a game for whichever one can lower your payment more and or your credit utilization. I hope that makes sense. Number 4, dispute credit report issues. So make sure you go on your credit report, read through that, and see what's actually being documented on your credit report, and don't just accept errors. If there are errors on your credit report, dispute them, say, hey, that's not me, or hey, I did pay that, or whatever. That stuff can make a huge difference. So just getting those things wiped off your report, writing letters into the bureau, that's kind of one of the more complicated steps, so that's why it's good sometimes to have someone there to help you out. 5 is becoming an authorized user. So let's just say that you have like no credit history. Maybe you could become a authorized user on like your parents' credit card or your spouse's credit card. And then I wouldn't say that you actually use the card at all, but just being added to their account can help your credit. So this is something you would do only with someone you trust. And I wouldn't personally feel comfortable letting someone be an authorized user on my account unless I didn't give them a card, because no matter how much they love you and trust you, it's just an unnecessary risk. So maybe you allow them to be an authorized user, but you don't give them an actual card. However that works, right? Just having their name on your report kind of helps build their credit. And that kind of rolls into number 6, which is a secured credit card. And a secured credit card is basically, it's like a prepaid card. So you would basically, like, let's say you load $1,000 onto this credit card, and then you can swipe it as a credit card, but you got to pay it back. You swipe it as a credit card, and then you pay it back. And what it's doing is it's allowing you to build a credit history. So this really only helps if you have no credit history at all. Like if you have really crappy credit history, it's probably not going to do anything for you. You need to fix that. But you have no history, like you've never had a credit card, never had an auto loan, never had a mortgage, you just do everything cash and checking and debit card, then this is a good way to get started. Kind of like the authorized user, except you don't need to be an authorized user. You're just, prepaying a card that you use as a credit card for yourself. And then number 7 is don't close out debt or credit cards, because the longer your credit history is, the better your score is going to look. And so if you have a credit card that's 12 years old and the next oldest you have is 4 years old, even if you don't use that 12-year-old card, if you shut it down, your credit is going to get hurt because it was your longest credit history. So just don't ever close a card out. Maybe you cut it into a million pieces, never use it again, but just leave the card active, and that will help your score just because you'll have a longer credit history. Look, the bottom line with credit is this. If you have debt, pay it down. If you have debts that you haven't paid, pay them. If you have outstanding debts, pay them. I know people who have, seemingly great finances, but I don't know, maybe they have child support they don't pay. That will crush your credit. Maybe they have a debt that they didn't pay at one point. Now they're thinking they can just, ask for forgiveness because they haven't paid it in so long. That'll crush your credit. Look, just be a good borrower. If you borrow the money, pay it back. I hate this like student loan mentality right now of getting it paid back. Like, look, you took on the debt. Fix it, right? Like, take it, own it. It is what it is. And that may rub you the wrong way, but if you're going to borrow money, pay the money. That's it. If you are a good borrower, your credit report will show that. So if you don't have a good credit report, fix it. Pay off debts with a high credit utilization rate. Ask for increased limit if you that's a risky one. So don't do that unless you're sure you won't spend the extra money. Pay your bills on time. Never miss a payment, right? With the whole pandemic thing, people were doing the forbearance, and I kept recommending not to, because even if it doesn't technically hinder you, I wouldn't want a banker to think that I wasn't going to be able to pay them back and then go back to borrow money from them. So kind of the same thing here with credit cards. If you're trying to increase your credit score, you need to make sure you can pay all that stuff before, and then do, right? Be up to date on everything, all your payments, and actually use your card appropriately, keep a low credit utilization ratio, pay off your card. And the best practice is to just use your card like every month for something and then pay it off, or pay it down, almost off, whatever. Off is definitely the best way to do it. So just here's some tips or tricks for helping improve your credit score. I hope you got something out of this. If you would like a connection to my guy, shoot me a comment down below or shoot me an email to militarytomillionaire@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to make an introduction to you. Sometimes it's good to have someone who's a professional look at your specific scenario. So just some food for thought. Let me know how I can help. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Have a great day.